What filmmaker has had 5 movies open #1 at the box office in the last 4 years? Spielberg? Tarantino? Scorsese? No. This record belongs to Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. So a lot of us probably know Tyler Perry for the character Madea. I mean, who doesn't love Madea? And then maybe you also know him as the billionaire filmmaker. He owns one of the biggest film production studios in the United States. However, there's a lot to this man. I just watched the documentary about his life, Maxine's Baby, the Tyler Perry story, and I was so inspired. I cried. I'm a very emotional person, but a lot of tears, but I was greatly inspired. And I just want to share 4 things I learned from watching this his life story. And number 1 is that connect your pain to your gifts. Tyler Perry had a very traumatic childhood experience. I mean, it was brutal. He was abused by his father, verbally abused, physically abused, emotionally abused. He was beaten several times by his father, told that he would never amount to anything. He watched his father beat his mother several times. He had a very brutal childhood experience, a very traumatic one. And when he was, I don't know if he has even healed from the trauma, because watching the documentary, when he was even sharing the story of these experiences, I could still see the pain. Still see that 5-year-old Tyler in this grown man. And while he was sharing his story, he mentioned having a sort of like eat out at the backyard of his house. Then he would go there and then start imagining things, start imagining a life that was different from the life that I was living in presently then. And that was how the imagination of this young Tyler was ignited, and that was like the foundation of his creativity and imagination. And of course, if you've seen Tyler Perry's movie, you know that this man is creative and imaginative. I mean, have you seen Madea? Have you seen the old Madea series? Have you seen Acrimony? Till today, we are still battling and still debating the Acrimony story. And so he was able to connect his pain to his gift. And what that just made me understood as human is that as human being, pain is constant, and people experience pain at different levels. But what we can actually decide is that we can choose to allow that pain define us negatively. We can choose to allow that pain bring us down, or we can choose to use that pain as a motivation to get something good out of our life. So connect your pain to your kids. And the second thing is that dreams come true. Tyler Perry came from nothing. Like, you need to understand, this guy came from nothing, just one black American guy that was abused by his father from Atlanta, with a mother that she was just a normal Negro woman, a normal black woman, and he was literally nothing. So there was no hope at all. But he was a dreamer. This man had dreams for his life. He had dreams for himself. And in the documentary, one of, I think his cousin was saying that it was a time that Tyler Perry would watch Oprah Winfrey on TV, and then he would say that this time nobody knew him, and then he would say that he's going to meet Oprah one day, and he's going to be friends with Oprah one day. And of course, that is like normal thing now, like Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey, everybody knows their story together. And this man was just follow through with that dream, even when it didn't make sense to anybody, even when nobody believed in him. He was God. Tyler Perry is such a dreamer. I mean, have you seen Tyler Perry's studios? Have you seen that studio? He's such a dreamer, and his dream came true. Like, just seeing him alone gives me hope. It gives me hope that despite what life throws at me, despite the challenges, despite the obstacles, if I just keep going, if I just keep going and stay at it and stay true, his grit, his hard work. Oh God, I'm inspired with it. I mean, you can see from my expression that the documentary really inspired me, really stirred up something inside of me. The third thing would be that don't pay attention to the critics. Tyler Perry was criticized a lot. Like, he served so when Tyler Perry came into Nollywood, it was at a point where we didn't see a lot of black movies on TV, and the black audience in America, in the United States, they were underserved, and so it came with something different. And it received a lot of backlash, especially for the character Madea. A lot of critics, even from the black community, from some people from the black community. However, he understood his audience. He knew the audience that was trying to serve, and he stayed true to those audience. He was focused on the audience. He paid no attention to those that were, shouting, criticizing him, calling him out. He paid no attention to audience. He understood his purpose. He understood his assignment. He understood what he was called to do by God, and he stayed true to it. And that made me understand that no matter what, people will always talk, and the best thing is just what block out those noises and do what and focus. And the last thing would be that honor God. Honor God. If you watch this documentary from the beginning to the end, you will see that this man is a man that stood with God and is still standing with God. You would hear him make reference to a point where God's voice was very, very audible. Before he got this big break, he staged a play. I know I've been changed. I hope I got that right. And this was Tyler Perry's first stage play. And for 7 years, he staged this play, and nothing came from it. He said God kept telling him to keep going. And it was when he got to that, like at the verge of giving up, he had lost everything. There was nothing coming from him. He spent money, like nothing was coming from this stage play that he gave all his best for 7 years. Imagine standing with something for 7 years.
Everything that went wrong in your life is what made everything go right.
And he said was at the verge of him giving up, that the break, the opportunity to do the play again came, and he almost did not do it. But he said that voice could not just stand it. That voice of the Holy Spirit could not just stop sounding in his head, and it was so strong that he just said, okay, let me just do it. And that was it. That was the big break. And throughout the documentary, we always hear him make reference to God leading him, God directing him, God telling him do this, do that. One thing about Tyler Perry is that he never runs out of ideas. Just go and check his films, you can't check his movies, go and check his track records. He never runs out of his day. And so, he said that he came from his mother's side. He came from a line of people who had served God, Christians who had track it back to the slavery period. So he said that if there's one thing he's grateful to his mother for, is that his mother taught him the ways of the Lord as a Christian. And so it just made me understand again that staying with God and being with God, it pays. And I know whatever purpose it is that you think you have, that you know that you have been called to do, just have God at the center of it. Have God at the center of that purpose. Stay true to it. Be sure that it is God that is leading you. Be sure that God is directing you, is leading you. And we'll all be fine. That's that, right? And I'm just grateful that Tyler Perry shared this story because it resonated with me so much. Even though we have different lives, we are continents apart, but it was so inspiring to watch. And I would recommend that you watch the documentary too. And I hope that it inspires you. Bye.